Hey there everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood WWE spokesman telling you to watch WrestleMania. Watch all the WrestleManias, every WrestleMania front to back and back to front. Except the bits we don't want you to see, don't watch those. In fact, forget you ever saw them in the first place. Agent J, do the thing. WWE likes to tout their endless list of WrestleMania moments, from Hogan slamming Andre to HBK descending from the rafters, but unfortunately for the big dub, they have a bunch of WrestleMania moments that they aren't so quick to tout. We've already done our list of moments that had to be censored on the WWE Network, you can watch that one right now, but there are enough moments unique to WrestleMania that have also been cut from viewings on the WWE Network to necessitate its own list. And well, it is WrestleMania season, so it's time to point at the things WWE doesn't want you to see and say, haha, not on my watch. I'm Tempest hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are 10 WrestleMania moments that have been cut on the WWE Network. But before we get on with this list, make sure of course that you like this video, subscribe, and enable notifications to always on so you never miss a fun list just like it, and make sure you check out the latest edition of Survival Series right here on partsFUNknown. It's very good, and I think you'll like it. Number 10, Mandy Rose falls on her bum, WrestleMania 37. Right on her butt. There is a primal urge within all of us to laugh when someone falls down. We've been doing it as a species since we were wielding clubs and drawing on cave walls. Probably. I wasn't there to see it like Luke was. But where better to fall down than on the grandest stage of them all? You have moments that remain on the network, like Batista getting his legs tied in the ropes at WrestleMania 35. You have moments that have been cut with other dudes falling down that we've already covered in our worst WrestleMania entrances list, like Ultimo Dragon getting wrapped in his own cape. Insert quote from Edna Mode here. And then you have this. Holding your biggest show of the year outdoors does leave you at the mercy of the elements, and the elements were not kind to WrestleMania 37. Maybe they didn't hear that it would be really nice to cut everyone a break after the year we'd had, and it rained and rained and rained. That's what you get for having WrestleMania in Florida, I suppose. What you get is Mandy Rose walking down the aisle for her bit in the Tag Team Turmoil match and then falling right on her bum. Now you only get to see Ruby Riott, but we all know the truth. Number 9, WrestleMania themes, WrestleMania 1. Pesky copyrights. You know, once upon a time, I did a load of work for a wrestling company, cutting out all the copyrighted music from their old shows and then got stiffed on the bill. But the moral of the story? Copyrights suck. There have been a number of WrestleMania themes that have had to be cut on the WWE Network for copyright reasons. Floyd Mayweather used a 50 Cent song at WrestleMania 24 that has since been dubbed over. Both Triple H and Nefarious Darius used licensed music for their match at WrestleMania 27, with Trips using Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls and Taker doing his full entrance to Johnny Cash's Ain't No Grave, but much more work has been done to the music on display at the original WrestleMania. It was a lawless time, the 80s, and there was an abundance of copyrighted music to go around. Wendy Richter and Cyndi Lauper came out to Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, and Hulk Hogan and Mr. T entered to Eye of the Tiger in classic Thunderlips fashion. Those are indeed two very identifiable songs, and are indeed nowhere to be found on the WWE Network, and understandably so. We're not in the 80s anymore, and these music companies don't f*** around. Number 8, Ice-T's performance, WrestleMania 2000. More music! Whereas the likes of Floyd Mayweather, Wendy Richter, and Hulk Hogan merely had their music dubbed over, others weren't so lucky. Some live performances have been removed from the WWE Network, such as Salt and Peppa's outing at WrestleMania 11 and Ice-T's performance at WrestleMania 2000. The latter makes for a very jarring cut as well due to opening the show. Ice-T was the manager for the night of The Godfather and D'Lo Brown, who entered first for the opening match of the night against Big Boss Man and Bull Buchanan. A bad match, and a bad match made worse by the fact that the babyface team no longer gets an entrance at all, as Ice-T's entire performance has been deleted from WrestleMania 2000's project timeline. These kind are fairly inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, and honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to cutting more concerts from the network if we can get the ball rolling. Who's going back to see that Hardy performance after all? Number 7, Michael Cole spoils the finish, WrestleMania 15. There are loads of WrestleMania commentary moments that should have been cut from the WWE Network, whether it be Michael Cole absolutely f***ing the call of Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair's main event match at WrestleMania 37, or Jerry Lawler's abhorrent commentary during the Triple H Booker T match at WrestleMania 19, even less dramatic offenses like Cole's For the Love of Mankind, while a man lay dying at his feet at WrestleMania 32, or Cole's Things Are About to Be Broken for the return of the Hardys. And it may sound like I'm ragging on Michael Cole, and speaking of which, it takes a special kind of commentary f*** up to get cut from the WWE Network entirely, but thankfully, Michael Cole has that covered too, and boy was it warranted. At WrestleMania 15, just before The Undertaker and Big Boss Man's Hell in a Cell match, Michael Cole alerts viewers that they can watch an interview after the show with the new WWF champion. As Paul Heyman might say, that's not a prediction, that's a huge f***ing spoiler. I can only imagine the size of the gasket being blown in Michael Cole's headset. Number 6, Brock Lesnar angry, WrestleMania 34. Don't make Brock Lesnar angry, you won't like him when he's angry. Unfortunately for all involved, Brock Lesnar was very angry indeed at WrestleMania 34. The second of 3 Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar Mania main events was not well received by fans at all, and the poor reception grew tiresome for the big bad Brock, which WWE cameras captured and used as part of their WrestleMania 34 documentary when he chucked his Universal Championship at Vince McMahon while sat in Gorilla. But what can't be found on the WWE Network these days is a moment from during the match, a moment where Brock Lesnar, full of rage after a Roman kickout, looked right down the lens of the camera and gave a very loud, very clear, "Gosh darn it." Sorry, my lip reading is just a tad rusty. I'm no John Boy. I have been informed that the now deleted footage has Brock Lesnar shouting, "Mother f***," which is not very PG of him. WWE has been forced to censor its fair share of profanity during their time, but not very often do those moments come during the WrestleMania main event. Number 5, just grab the briefcase, Jack. WrestleMania 26. Once upon a time, we did a list on this channel of fake things in wrestling that people don't complain about, and among those 10 nitpicks was the inability to climb a ladder with anything resembling urgency. One thing I find much more offensive, however, is a wrestler's inability to grab the thing they're reaching for. This one isn't even fake most of the time. Like in this instance at WrestleMania 26. The WrestleMania 26 Money in the Bank ladder match is fine if a bit unmemorable, due in no small part to a particularly poor choice of winner. The All-American American Jack Swagger had won but a single one-on-one match on Raw in 2010 prior to this WrestleMania, so it should come as no surprise that people were not down with Mr. Money in the Bank Jack Swagger, but he probably didn't help his cause when he took a year and a half trying to get the briefcase down. Seriously, I had a birthday waiting for him to get the contract. He fumbles with the mechanism for like a solid minute, all of which has been cut from the WWE Network, but maybe it was a sign that this booking decision was ill-advised from the start. Number 4, it's raining promos, hallelujah. WrestleMania 37. One of the few things we as wrestling fans asked for so long was for WWE to do away with their overly scripted promos, and sometimes it takes an act of God to force change within WWE, like we saw at WrestleMania 37. We spoke about how the elements were unkind to WWE, and particularly Mandy Rose's bottom at WrestleMania 37, but the far bigger chunk of the show to be removed from the network is the first hour plus of WWE's Flag and Ship show, the hour where the heavens opened and rained down upon WrestleMania and Samoa Joe's poncho. It does make sense that WWE would want to cut the hour of non-action from the network, but what they did to fill that time was surprisingly awesome, with the roster cutting improvised promos on their WrestleMania opponents. They did throw to Shane first, who proceeded to make a big sweaty fool of himself, but others like Kevin Owens and MVP made these Rain promos one of the most memorable parts of WrestleMania 37. Number 3, Mickie James gets handsy, WrestleMania 22. Hey, don't touch me there, that is my private square. Mickie James and Trish Stratus' match at WrestleMania 22 would be the last time the women had a properly promoted and featured match at WrestleMania for a full 10 years, but much of the match is something WWE doesn't exactly want you to see. Mickie and Trish's very memorable storyline in 2006 was built around Mickie being a psychotic Trish Stratus superfan with more than a hint of lust mixed in. But while there were some unsolicited smooches sent Trish's way in the lead up to WrestleMania, their match got much more hardcore and not in the Edge and Mick Foley kind of way. During their match for the WWE Women's Championship, Mickie James grabbed a handful of Trish's bits to break up a Stratusfaction attempt and proceeded to lick her fingers. WWE was still a few years away from being PG at the time, but this display was not received positively backstage, regardless of how much the Chicago crowd cheered. This match has been heavily edited on the network to cut around Mickie's advances. It's not hard to imagine why. Number 2, the other WrestleMania streak, WrestleMania 23. Is it worth it to give up your ridiculously expensive seat at WrestleMania? Is it worth it to miss the classic WrestleMania main event between John Cena and Shawn Michaels? Is it worth it for 5 seconds of the crowd of 80,000 people seeing you in your skivvies? Well, considering we're here talking about this dude 16 years later, probably got what he wanted. Just prior to HBK and Big Match John's big match in the main event of WrestleMania 23, the two were squaring off on opposite sides of the ring, while in a neutral corner, some guy decided he was going to make this a triple threat match. He didn't have his gear and stripped down to his underwear because in wrestling, what's the difference? Streaking is a real stupid thing to do at sporting events, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the more expensive examples of it on film. When it happened, security swarmed the intruder and took him away as Shawn Michaels waved goodbye at him, with JR telling us that HBK was playing mind games with Cena. But come on, JR. We know that's not true. And number 1, Roddy Piper's blackface, WrestleMania 6. I really need to stop scheduling lists for myself where this can come up. Right, so many of the entries on this list can be cut around with some clever editing while still preserving the product, but this is the only example of something being so bad that no amount of editing could save it. Roddy Piper was a great wrestler, but his decision to paint half of his body black for his WrestleMania 6 match with Bad News Brown was not a great decision. Piper had appeared as such during a promo in the lead up to WrestleMania, saying he could be white and he could be black because inside he was still Roddy Piper. And no, Hot Rod, I don't believe all of that statement would be true. And then he proceeded to wrestle the entire match looking like this. Bad News Brown, one of the scarier dudes in any locker room, did not take kindly to this, and clearly neither did the folks at Peacock, resulting in the entire match being cut from the recording of WrestleMania 6. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to write a quick note. Dear future Tempest, do not schedule any more lists where I have to talk about blackface. Please and thank you. Lots of love, Past Tempest. And that's our list. Please make sure that you like this video, subscribe, and enable notifications to always on so you never miss a fun list just like it. And make sure you check out the latest episode of Survival Series, and you can click the link above to see that right here.
Too early. Ding.
Ding. Hey, don't you take my ding from me.
You've taken everything from me, Tempest!
I've taken nothing from you. You've got no strikes.
That's right. All business. Total box office.